Welcome, Browns fans, OBR followers, and subscribers. It is Tuesday, December 2nd, and a very cold, very upsetting, snowy evening here in Cleveland. My name is Joe Mazzulo. This is my man, Pete Smith, and this is Pete and Joe breaking down the Browns versus the 49ers. Pete, good to see you, big guy. We had a good weekend with Ohio State, but the Browns let us down Sunday. How you feeling, homie?
Well, I would just say there's a lot to talk about with this game. Like of all the games we've seen recently, this is sort of the one that has the most stuff going on, I guess, is the way to put it. There's a lot of things at play that are more interesting than sort of have been with this team for a minute.
Okay, well, let's talk about the main topic of conversation on everybody's minds right now. We had a failure on special teams in multiple spots. We had a big failure at the quarterback spot this week. I wouldn't necessarily say that Shedeur played horribly, but there's no denying there were plenty of opportunities left on the field that the offense missed out on. I think this was collectively probably the best game we've seen the line play all season. It was the most effective we've seen the running game in weeks on top of weeks. It's just we really couldn't get anything going through the air. The weather didn't help, but I don't think that was as big a factor as it just it wasn't coming out quick enough from Shedeur. And it was a lot of those bad habits that we saw at Colorado, we saw in the preseason. And I mean, we've been, kind of banging on all year about what could possibly go wrong if we do play Shedeur, and they all kind of reared their ugly head.
Right. So I'll preface by saying I think Shedeur should continue to be starting. I have no issue with that. I appreciate the fact that Shedeur just calls himself a tactile learner, meaning he's got to feel it out. That's fine. I'm okay with that. And I would like to. I'll ask you: do you think I've been a fair judge of Dylan Gabriel's underwhelmingness?
Yeah, I think so. Look, there's plenty of things that I can say about you, Peter, and I would say sometimes you are a little too, favoring to your guys, but you always call it down the middle. You're honestly, you're very objective. You're very honest, and I got no issues the way you call it, homie. You know that.
Okay, so I would say by context, meaning that this is the best game the Browns have gotten from their supporting cast in terms of the offensive line and the skilled players. And we're, 2 weeks of all the first team reps and all those other things with Shedeur Sanders, and bearing in mind everything we saw from Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco, this was the worst quarterback film the Browns have had all year. Mm-hmm. It's not debatable. And it's because those other things were better. Like I criticized the Browns last week. I thought some of the plays they called the protections were ineffective. I thought some of the plays didn't work. I gave Shador all the credit in the world on the Isaiah Bond play because the play call did not work. And he made it happen. That was 1,000% him. This week, the game plan was rock solid. They had, I heard criticisms that the Browns weren't prepared and the 49ers were, this expertly set up team. The Browns crushed them in terms of getting guys open and setting up plays that were working and everything else. They were better than 8 points. And the reason they didn't get more than 8 points is largely because Shador Sanders didn't play well. I'm not going to condone Jerry Jeudy's behavior. He tearing down, getting in a screaming match with a rookie quarterback should be beneath him. I can appreciate his frustration. I frankly understand his exasperation. He was college open in this game and not getting football. There's a difference between NFL open and college open. He was college open and not getting the ball. I think what he did on the sideline was, as much as I can sort of understand it, guys competing on all this, it's a rookie quarterback. It's not a good look. But that's what this game was. And when I watched it live, I thought Shador Sanders did some good things. And then I thought it was largely going to be, I thought the line play was going to be better based on what I saw live. But I figured when we turned on the all-22, I'd see some more issues. I'd see receivers not doing the things we wanted them to do. And then when I watched it, the line was great. Not perfect by any stretch, but for this outfit was, and some of this is because the 49ers are so beat up. Let's not, I don't want to suggest it
Pete, you're missing a top 5 linebacker and a top 5 rush end.
Yeah.
You're missing a first round pick at the end. I mean, there's a lot of things going wrong in San Francisco.
Yeah. I don't want to make this sound like the line was like a Herculean effort. And it was not Trent Williams blocking Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
But it was there and clean pockets and all this other stuff. And we criticized the receivers last week, particularly Tillman and Jerry Jeudy for not finishing routes. All of that was better, 1,000% better. And he missed open looks or didn't take the open looks. And here's the thing, the play that's gotten the most sort of run is the play where he overthrows Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was he was there early. Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Here's the thing, and this is where I contrast against Dylan Gabriel. Yes, he should have thrown that ball early. No question. But it was there later. He makes the throw. Dylan Gabriel has not made that throw. Yeah. I could sit here and go, if it's next week or the week after, I think Shador's going to make that throw again. I think he's going to hit it. I think his arm talent and everything else is more than good enough. He missed it, fine. But he's swinging. And that was one of my main criticisms with Dylan Gabriel. That's not the stuff that bothers me. It's the amount of times where there was that dagger concept where Jerry Jeudy's running wide open in the middle of the field, he doesn't throw him the ball, or the quick out route, 3rd and 10 or whatever it was, backed up on their own end. He's got 2 wide open receivers. He doesn't throw it and almost gets safetied. Yeah. The sacks are horrible. And I asked the question in the article I wrote coming after the game, 4th and 26, man, and you scrambled. Are we worried about, are we calling that he lost temporary insanity? Or is he not throwing the ball because he's worried about his stat line? And that's
also, I mean, not to look, I would lean towards, not at that point, it's who cares? So maybe it is a stat line thing, but at the end of the day, more than a 2-score game, it's 4th and 26. It's almost like waving a white flag. I mean, I get you. Do something, give your guys an opportunity, put the ball in the air, do anything but that. I agree, but it's essentially waving a white flag from how I saw it,
I mean, it's just the idea of, he's being coached to protect the football. Well, he ran for 6 yards and gave the ball to the other team. So he's not protecting the football.
And not for nothing, Shador's always protected the ball. He's always protected the football. So I don't think this is the Browns being overbearing and like coaching the hell out of him and scaring him to throw the football. He's taking shots downfield. He doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way that often. The one thing that I'll say is I feel like it's a little disingenuous to just sit here and say Shedeur missed this on this play, this on that play. If you take the all 22 film for just about every quarterback in the league, you can pinpoint all sorts of plays where there's missed this and missed that and all that sort of stuff. I do not doubt that Shedeur is not a good quarterback right now. He's not, and that's okay. He's a rookie. It takes quarterbacks such a long time to fully acclimate. There's so many layers to what they have to get good at and what they need to be nuanced with in order to run an NFL offense at a high level. I don't care that Shedeur is bad right now, but it's okay to say that he's bad right now. That's not an indictment on Shedeur. That's where he's at in his career. So it's just like it's such a hard thing. You see guys in the chat talking about how you can't say anything negative about certain players, or whatever portion of their fan base is going to lose their minds and think that it's racism or the coach hates him or this, that, and the other. It's okay that he's not a good quarterback right now. Look around the league. Cam Ward is a bad quarterback right now. Jackson Dart can make plays, but he's a bad quarterback right now. Tyler Shuck might be the best of the rookies, and he's still a bad quarterback right now. It's just it's the position.
And Jackson Dart seems to want to die. I like he just seems to have a death wish, and I don't understand it. But
yeah,
can we agree that there's a reason Dylan Gabriel was the quarterback first? Like,
yeah.
Like it's clear as day why Dylan Gabriel was in there first. Like if there's a conspiracy, it's Shedeur conspiring against himself at points in this, because he's just he like I hate to keep going back this well. He has not been coached at anything in college other than throwing the ball. He doesn't know anything. Like it's ridiculous. And so like that's what we're working with. There's a ton of talent in there. But he's got so far to go. So like that was the other part about this, is like any delusion that the Browns are not fully in on the quarterback market died in that game. And look, the other part about this is we desperately wanted Shedeur Sanders to get and we said this for Dylan Gabriel too, we wanted a soft landing. Put these guys in position to succeed. You got the Raiders, the 49ers, and you're going to get the Titans. Like, you could not ask for a sweeter setup than those three teams.
You could not.
I was frankly surprised. Like, that was part of my thing on the initial watch, is like, part of me like, well, Shedeur Sanders actually did better than I thought he would, because I thought Saleh's defense was going to do to him what he did to Carolina.
Yeah. And
that did not happen. And some of that is because the offensive line was good. Some of that was because the game plan was dead on. But like, so my initial thought was, he's going to miss some plays, but like, I thought he did okay. And then like you get in the all 22 and you're just like, I still think he did some good things.
Yeah, I thought he played a nice first half. It was the second half, the team and the bottom just fell out beneath him. And once the pressure mounted on Shedeur to have to make plays, man, he went in the wrong direction.
So like, and that's the other part. Like, I will tell you how many areas Shedeur Sanders has to go. But I'm still interested in him as a long-term prospect. Like, I'm not going, in as much as you could make the case that was cuttable film, I still think the kid's interesting. I still think he's more fun than Dylan Gabriel.
Yes.
I'm not going to pretend otherwise, even though I think Dylan Gabriel right this second is a better quarterback.
Yeah, no, and that's not even debatable. It's just physically, it's so far slanted towards Shedeur, in my opinion. But the whole reason Gabriel's not on the field is you hit it multiple times. He didn't take the shot. You got to shoot the ball to make the basket. You know what I'm saying? And he never did. That's why he's not in there. You can't watch him and not see that he's comfortable running an offense. He's comfortable with everything. It's just the actual playmaking in between whistles just isn't there. It's just not. Otherwise, he'd still be there.
Yeah, so the thought process I had watching the game, and I still think this, is when the Browns were ahead of the sticks and on schedule, he was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't great. He was pretty good and had some impressive throws. Obviously, the pass he threw to Phantom was awesome.
Yeah.
Showed the touch. Love the way he kept his eyes downfield. He slid up in the pocket, did all the things we're asking him to do. Like,
He did it on time.
some level, you can sit there and say, that's how a quarterback's supposed to operate. Well, he hasn't been to this point. Like, those are that, like, credit where it's due. He's doing he's doing the things we were asking him to do, and it was a great throw. And they scored a touchdown on that. So that part is important. I think there's stuff there, but when they got behind the sticks, when they had penalties, and this is the problem. He's
a detriment at that point.
He makes bad situations worse, and that's where it kills you. And you're like, the special teams fiascos are what they are, and we can talk about that stuff, but like, that covers him in a lot of ways. Because if not for that, I think the conversation would be far more on, not good. Because you got, like, as we said, good offensive line play, good running game.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of things offensively that are really good. The game plan's really effective. 8 points.
Yeah.
And it inevitably ends up with the finger point at one thing. And the funniest part about all this, the Browns were the fourth team in terms of the least points scored. There were 3 teams that scored fewer points than they did, including the Pittsburgh Steelers, which didn't hurt my feelings. But that's the other part where I think gets lost. And look, I'm not going to defend the futility of the Browns offense, but I do think it's worth noting that scoring is just down. Yeah. Defense is up. And that's sort of a different angle. But regardless, I think, one, I'm hoping he's going to keep playing. I was a little disappointed, even if I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Or how well he did in certain circumstances against the Raiders, that it was such a dramatic step back in this game, considering the circumstances were so much better. But I look at this Tennessee team, and I think he could go off. I think Tennessee stinks. I think he could have a good game. I'm hoping he's going to have a good game. I watched that game, and I thought Jerry Jeudy could have had 125 and at least a touchdown.
Yeah.
And like, we can criticize Jerry Jeudy and say, well, he's not this, he's not that. He could have easily had a monster game in there. It may be more than I'm even accounting for. It was all there for it. That was the missing piece. So I'm hoping that, he's learning from it. Like, he's going to get and that's the other part about this whole conspiracy thing. His teammates have to watch that tape too. They're going to see it. Like, anyone pretending that, like, there's guys in there going, no, he's the franchise quarterback. Like, they're going to watch this and go, come on, man. Like, this is open. So that's not to say they're sitting there going, man, we can't play with him or anything like that. I don't think it's anything like that. But like, this notion that, like, there was this divide of people that are like, Dylan Gabriel can't play and we want Shedeur, and he's the secret franchise quarterback. It's just it's not reality. And they are going to have to get a quarterback, if that is drafting one. And that whole conversation has got a whole lot more interesting with this week. And then or getting a veteran. They're going to have to do something at that and still bring along a Shedeur Sanders and see where those guys end up. That, like, there's no getting away from that, even if, as I'm still interested to see what more can Shedeur do in these next several games. I think he will start the rest of the year so he doesn't die. And that's the other problem. Yeah.
He takes too many hits.
He takes stupid hits. And it, obviously he only missed one play, but he came off the field. Like, it was that quick. Like, it's foreseeable that there's going to be a circumstance where he's going to get himself knocked out, and we're going back to Dylan Gabriel because just the way he plays, he's got to throw the ball away on some of these situations or take the profit or whatever it is. So, look, I'm here for it. I'm not, like, mad at the kid or anything as much as
of course.
The film was shockingly bad at points, but like people have got to accept the reality of what he is and stop living in this weird delusion that, like, the world hates this kid.
Yeah.
Tape suggests he hates he hates his teammates and football based on some of the stuff he's doing, or hates himself, the hits he takes. So, like, it's just this is what, this was the romantic notion people talk themselves into with, like, this young team. Like, you're sort of like, it's going to be real bad early, and they think real early is going to end after about 4 games, and then all of a sudden it's going to get better.
Yeah.
And it's a road. Now, as I said this, and this is the part where I say the conversation gets a lot more interesting, there's a lot of rookies who played really well in this game. Like, despite everything, the 8 points and all this, like, you are seeing some development, and it's unfortunate the scoreboard doesn't show it, and you've got some major mistakes that happened. But like, you're seeing a lot of these guys get better if you actually go through and sort of appreciate what's happening on tape.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, the running game was fantastic. Obviously, Judkins was the bell cow. Just under 4 yards a carry, but a very productive game from him. Dylan Sampson, before the calf injury, made a couple nice plays out there, looking really, really good. Definitely gaining confidence. You'd love to see that. It's so tough because like you do see the silver linings of certain things with this offense, with the skill group. But it's like it's like almost like stars aligning for a bad offense. You've got the youth, you've got injury inconsistency throughout the year, you've got bad quarterback play, and you've got a great defense that puts even more pressure on your floundering offense, because if the offense could just be middle of the pack, this is a playoff contender. That's just the reality of the situation. If we weren't a bottom 3 offense, this is a playoff contender. So it's very hard to view this offense through a reasonable lens and let these young guys develop, because like the team could win right now if the offense was good, but we're just not strong enough at the most important parts. And it's like, if we have a young quarterback, you need veteran receivers and veteran backs and a veteran line to ease him along. That's like the only way that a young quarterback can really thrive, is in a scenario where they're protected. You saw it with Jaden Daniels last year in Washington, but we don't have that. We have the inconsistency and the youth and the inexperience at quarterback. And then we have inexperience everywhere else but the line. And then the line's banged up and not good. I mean, who's supposed to be good here?
Right. Well, if I was going to tell you that your team was going to be bad, what unit would you want to be the reason that's killing you?
Man. What unit would you want? Probably the defense, because that's the quicker fix.
I would say special teams.
Well, yeah, I'll give you that.
So like the Browns are 3-9. People will freely blame at least 2 of the winnable games, the Jets and the Bengals, on special teams.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I would rather be 6-6, because I think they could be, if they close out the Minnesota game and those 2. I'd rather be 6-6. And in this division, they'd be right in the mix. And sign me up. I've said all along, I'd rather this team win football games.
Yep.
Having said that, the inverse incentives of the NFL say to a team like the Browns, even if you're 6-6 and you're right in the hunt, that doesn't solve your quarterback issue. Mm-hmm. That doesn't solve your offensive issue in terms of the line. It doesn't solve your issue for wide receiver. 3-9 potentially gives you a way out. And that's sort of the unfortunate reality of this whole situation. So if I have to lose those football games, I'm happy it's the special teams that's costing you the games, not a unit of, I got to fix a whole side of the ball. Granted, the offense obviously needs a massive infusion of talent. But like, if we are literally sitting here and going, the Browns, 2 more wins, if, the kicker who finally figured his stuff out was good immediately and beat the Bengals. Mm-hmm. And if, like, Dylan Gabriel did enough to beat the Jets, like, for all the criticisms I have for Dylan Gabriel, he did enough. I mean, it wasn't good, but he did enough relative to the other thing. He gave 14 points in the first quarter off returns. Yeah. They win that game. So all of a sudden you're already 5-7. And if they close out the Vikings game, if Denzel Ward's a little bit deeper, Carson Wentz is a little bit off, you're 6-6. And that's not to like defend anything, because if Kevin Stefanski's fired, the record is what it is. And that's sort of the gamble I think the Browns have made with this whole situation, is like, they load up on the defense, which is paying off. It's great. The offense has a bunch of pieces which are interesting and growing, and we're going to try to figure it out. And like, you can sit there and squint and see a way where they're 6-6, but like, you can also sit there and go, if they're going to be, if they need a quarterback, which they clearly do, kind of better off being 3-9. And that's just the way the league sort of works. If this is college, it's a disaster. If this is high school, this is a disaster. But the NFL sort of makes it this weird thing. Now, will they survive? That's the question, because Jimmy Haslam could wake up tomorrow and go, this sucks. But like, that's sort of the weird thing you get into with this whole thing is like you're sitting there going, man, I hope the Browns win. You're like, at the end, they lose, and you're sort of like, well, I like what I see from Mendoza, or I like whatever. I'd really like to see him on the Browns. So that's sort of the weird thing. The other part about that is, like you mentioned, between what he was showing against the Raiders and what I saw him running inside in this game, Dylan Sampson was impressive. Like,
yeah,
he had space. They blocked better. They gave him room to run, and he started churning yards up the middle and fighting for extra yards. Like, I was really happy to see that.
Yeah,
like I know he's
fast. Tackles. It was nice.
Yeah, I know he's fast. I want to see him do the other things. And the other part with the running back thing was, Quinshon Judkins runs for 91. Well, he caught 3 balls for 18 yards, and like, I'm glad they're doing that. Like,
yeah, oh hell yeah.
Ball. And they started incorporating that. So like, between those two, I feel like the running back room is going to be in great shape. Yeah, they're going to have to find a third running back. Okay, that's like, I can live in that world.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at Rocket Sanders. There's a lot worse guys. Lots more. I mean, between the size and the skill set for a number 3 running back, you could do a hell of a lot worse than that.
Which, if they said Sampson's day to day, so if he has to miss this, maybe we'll see Raheem again.
Yeah.
Or if Ford is, hamstring is worse or whatever, maybe we'll see him. And then the other part of that is Harold Fannin. The 4th and 1 miscue aside, like, his feel for space on that pass from Shedeur Sanders was great. He is, and that's the other part. Like, watching the film and the stuff Shedeur missing, a lot of it is wide open Harold Fannin. Like, he is really good and getting better every week. Like, like, I'm getting questions in ATI and stuff about offensive progressions. It's like, every week, arrow up with this kid. I know his recognition at times needs to be better. I know he's got to get better at blocking, but like, Bowling Dream to NFL has been a seamless transition to do all the things he does.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many missed tackles he forced this week. It was at least a couple just on the touchdown. He's tied for before this game. I assume still or alone, he, among tight ends and wide receivers in the entire league for PFF, Harold Fannin, a rookie who's 21, has the most missed tackles forced.
I'm pretty sure he's number 2 for like everything. I'm pretty sure he's just behind a running back.
He's not far behind running backs either.
Yeah, I think it's just one that's ahead of him. He's been incredible, and it's like every time he gets the ball, he's shaking tacklers. We've talked about it. You mentioned it a bunch of times. Him and Judkins just have that mentality, and their play style is infectious. And you've said it before. This is exactly what you want on your offense. Give me a skill group filled with Judkins and Fannins all day long.
Yeah, and Judkins is the same way. I mean, Malachi Corley, again, another guy, giant gaff on kick return, but like, one, that sucks, and it obviously costs them, but like, he's really interesting. He continues to be interesting as a player. And like, on the one hand, people are saying, hey, get him more involved, get him the ball more. And then like, okay, well, kickoff returns an easy way to get him involved. And then he makes a mistake, and we're like, well, now we got to cut him. Like,
yeah, oh, of course. Well, that's the only direction you can take when a player makes a mistake, Pete.
Or take him off. Well, it's like that. Like, we are watching this team legitimately say we are trying to figure things out and trying to see if we can get guys who can do this thing. Like, I would love Malachi Corley. His whole career in college was manufactured touch guy. Mm-hmm. Kickoff return is manufactured touch. Like, especially with the new rules. So it sucks that he made the mistake. I hope he learns from it, but I want him to keep doing it. And then obviously they used him on that drive, which a really positive
9-yard run on that drive. Yeah.
The 9 runs in a row or whatever, where he gets the ball in the backfield on the jet, immediately makes a guy breaks a tackle, and then runs for 9 yards. Yep. Isaiah Bond, as much as it drives me nuts that he wants to immediately go out of bounds the second anyone goes here. Again, the reverse worked. You had that whole drive was rookies. It was Judkins to Sampson, like seamlessly working back and forth. Corley's second-year guy, but whatever. Yeah. Bond's a rookie, and then Shedeur Sanders rookie to Harold Fannin rookie for the touchdown. Like, it was again, like, up until that point when the Browns took the lead 8-7, you're like, this is another game where it's going exactly the way you would want it
You
to,
would
is
hope.
trying to be like, hey, this is what we're trying to build. This is what we're trying to do. And then obviously you run into the situation where if it's Larvidan, muffing punts, bad technique and all that, another guy, like, it sucks. I don't like the mistakes, but I want to see him keep doing it because I want to see him see if he can do it. And if he can't, okay, get somebody else. But him and Corley on special teams are exactly the type of guys I want to see get shots at that stuff.
Yeah, and look, Larvidan's been pretty damn solid as a punt returner up until this weekend. Like these are the first issues that he's really had out there. So it's like you take it with a grain of salt. Everybody has an off game. There's some really funky wind going on. Tough to read the ball. Lots of stuff. I mean, I don't know. I have such a problem with the knee-jerk reaction of trying to get rid of these guys if they make a mistake. I understand it's a cutthroat league, but it's like if you've competed in anything at any sort of advanced level, you know how hard it is. These are millionaire, top-shelf athletes on both sides of the ball trying to win the same freaking game. Not everybody wins every snap. That's just the name of the game. How about let's move along to the offensive line. Now, I did not I rewatched the game. I didn't watch the all 22 like you did. And you texted me yesterday that you were floored with how the offensive line dominated San Francisco. That's nice to hear, I'll be honest. That's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I mean, they did a really nice job. Like, and it particularly of note because they had to shuffle guys throughout the game. Conklin goes down again. Unfortunately, KT Levingston gets in there, and he was in there for that touchdown drive, and that's probably informed some of their decision making in terms of why they ran the ball 9 times in a row, because that's what he does well, and he played reasonably well. And they put in Tevin Jenkins to rotate, and he did a nice job. And there's this contrived controversy now over this idea of rotating Wyatt Teller for Tevin Jenkins, and then this notion that Wyatt Teller said he was told that it was about performance based, and then Kevin Stefanski said it was because of an injury, which is complete crap. Like, Kevin Stefanski came straight up and said, we wanted to rotate these guys. We want to see what Tevin Jenkins can do, and Wyatt Teller's 100th start and all this other stuff, and this notion of accountability. Well, you're not showing accountability to the Malachi Corleys and the Gage Larvidans of the world. Well, here's the secret. One, those guys are auditioning for next year. Mm-hmm. Tevin Jenkins, which at the time of the signing, all these people, I remember how pissed the Bengals fans were thinking, oh, we're going to sign him. He's going to be a starting guard for us. And then obviously
he was going to make 10 a season, Pete. He's a good player.
Yeah, well, yeah. So it obviously turned out that teams were uncomfortable with his injury situation. So the Browns signed him for dirt cheap. You're like, beautiful. And they used him as a jumbo tight end and all this other stuff. But we've been complaining the whole year about, one, the offensive line in general, and then two, where's this thing going to go when the season's over? Wyatt Teller has been a very good player for the Browns. He has not been good this year. He wasn't particularly good last year. So they decided, hey, we're going to rotate him to see. And we've got Tevin Jenkins. We've got to see what he can do because he's not even 28.
Yeah.
He might be part of the solution for next year, but we have to find out on the field. And apparently they like enough what he's doing in practice and the jumbo stuff he's doing with Wildcat and all that other stuff that they felt like it was worth putting him in there to see it. And then I see post-game analysis. They're like, well, Wyatt Teller was your highest graded player. Well, they had already planned to do this ahead of time. I'm glad he played better this week, but they made the decision already to see what this kid could do, and it worked. Tevin Jenkins is good. And the thing with Tevin Jenkins, and it's sort of a question I obviously don't know the answer to, but one I'm sort of curious about is if the Browns, stay intact and Mike Bloomgren is your offensive line coach, KT Levingston is a mauler. Tevin Jenkins is a mauler. Is that a clue of the type of guy they're going to try to go out and get? When it comes to the draft, when it comes to free agency, is that a tell, or is it just happenstance? They traded for these two guys. I have to assume on some level that Mike Bloomgren's I want KT Leviston and I want, Tevin Jenkins. I want these guys in the room because I think they're guys I can coach up. So great. Then you get these guys in there and it works. Like the run game was effective in part because they were doing that and he did his job. Ethan Posick gets in there because of the injury, or not Posick. Luke Whippler gets only there for 7 plays.
Yeah.
I am starting to get the sense that not that they're down on Whippler necessarily, but they're probably not ready enough yet to sort of be like he's the next guy. And maybe Ethan Posick could be somebody they look to keep for another year.
Yeah. Well, do you think any of that has to do more or less with Posick being such a veteran and being able to help the rookie quarterback so much? I mean, that would be
very possible. And at some point we may get a longer look at Luke Whippler as well.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it seems like we're turning to a world where maybe the Browns are going to try to keep Posick for another year. And if they fix the other stuff, I don't really care. And then the other guy who notably was not benched in favor of Tevin Jenkins was Joel Bitonio. Well, there's a reason for that. He's still the best lineman on the team by far. It's not close. Yeah. I've heard an argument, with all due respect to Lance Ryland, who I think is a smart guy, was saying that Wyatt Teller's your best lineman. No, he's not. Joel Bitonio is easily the best player on that front. And the way he's playing, if Joel Bitonio says, I had a healthy year and I'd like to come back, the Browns are probably going to be like, yes, please.
Yeah. Here's a blank check.
We can help you with the changeover and limit the amount of stuff you have to do with that. He's good. He's been good all year. He's been healthy all year. Like, I see no problem with that. And obviously the tackle situation was this. Again, I think KT Leviston is making strides. Mm-hmm. Seems like he's getting a little bit better. The pass protection is going to be a challenge for him. It's going to take a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, and look, we don't have a quarterback that's going to make your line look better at this point. Like that's another thing too. We have an issue at quarterback that's going to compound any issue you have on the offensive line. And I'm a Shedeur guy. I'm a Shedeur guy to the point where I'm not gung-ho about getting a quarterback yet. I'm not. I like Shedeur. I like the skill set. If we do go quarterback, it better be a veteran, man. If you're going to make a significant move at quarterback, give me a veteran on this team, please. I mean, look, I really like Fernando Mendoza. I like a lot of the guys. We don't know who's coming out just yet. We don't know what the draft is going to look like just yet. But man, I'm not excited about starting over from scratch with another rookie quarterback. And I know talent obviously dictates so many things, And I mean, we haven't talked about this much. And I'll send you the tweet that I'm referencing here. But somebody sent me a tweet maybe a month and a half ago of the last 4 drafts of the New England Patriots, Pete.
Oh,
with a red line. A red line through.
Oh, did Joe die? Oh, it looks like Joe died midpoint. The 2024 draft for the New England Patriots is Drake May and nobody else left. They're all gone. Everybody's gone. I think Caden Wallace might still be on the team, but literally everybody else is gone. That draft is a complete bust. And the Patriots, I mean, get all the credit in the world. They took Drake May, and the fact that they got him third out of that quarterback group is genuinely incredible. Caleb Williams coming around. Jaden Daniels was obviously a sensation in his first year, but and he's still really talented, but the injuries are certainly worrying with him. He's had 3 different body parts sustain injuries. But I mean, what the other part about the whole New England draft thing is what did they do? They hired former Dorsey slappies, Elliott Wolf and Alonzo Highsmith to run their draft, and shockingly they suck at it just like they did here. Drake May, he's got shot the MVP. He's completely changed the team. Jaden Daniels completely changed the team. And that's ultimately why Joe's not here to defend himself, but why I have no issue whatsoever with if the Browns are positioned to take a quarterback, I will absolutely take that quarterback I like because of the impact they can have. If you get it right, completely changes everything. And with the Browns defense at that point, now you're talking about winning the division right off the rip. Where I agree with Joe is that and obviously this could change. In December, I have zero interest in trading multiple picks to go up and get somebody. There's none. I don't. That part of it where like you would have to do so much in March and everything else to be like, no, we figured out the line. We got skill players. We can afford to give up both first-round picks or whatever it is to go get a quarterback. That part, I don't see the scenario where that happens. And at that point, I'm all for it. I'm all for taking receiver and lineman. And I mentioned, floated it before. Geno Smith would instantly make this team competitive if they figure out the other stuff, like right off the rip. But if the quarterback's there and they're in position, and like if Dante Moore decides to come out and he pushes Fernando Mendoza down to the Browns, pulling the trigger, no hesitation. I mean, obviously, I'm going to continue to evaluate Fernando Mendoza and everything else, but like in terms of the things that like you need to get from that position in terms of the requisite starts, he's going to be a 3-year starter. The classic size, strength, speed component, all that stuff. And he seems to be a giant nerd, which great. If they're in position, I'm not shying away. The scenario I could be convinced into, which will make a whole lot of people very angry. If the Browns are in a position where, let's say Dante Moore comes out and he's not the number 1 overall pick, and the Browns are sitting there and going, I don't know, redshirt sophomore, the track record sucks on this. I'd rather be Sam Darnold's second team than the first one, and they get a haul for him. I'm here for that too. Like,
amen.
That's the scenario I'm interested in. But like, and that whole thing got a whole lot more interesting. We'll just go right there. Dante Moore, one, he's got a shot in the playoff, which was expected. If he wins the championship, that could change everything. But the sneaky thing that I'm curious to see what impact it will have, his offensive coordinator just agreed to be the Kentucky's head coach.
Yep.
His defensive coordinator, not that this necessarily would change his mind, is going to be most likely the coach at Cal. Obviously Dan Lanning is still the head coach. Dan Lanning is more of a defensive guy. That might sort of shift the thing. But if does that cause Dante Moore to be like, I'm going to go ahead and go out and go ahead and get into the NFL? I have no idea, but it's at least one more little wrinkle that's sort of in this whole change that could impact his decision.
I think what happened with Drew Aller this year as well could factor in, because obviously these guys can make money with the NIL and everything like that. They can hit the portal, find a new spot, make a little change, whatever they want to do. But I mean, Drew Aller was supposed to be a top 5 pick, and now he's going to be rehabbing an injury. He's probably going to hit the portal and stay in college. I pray for his representation that he doesn't go to Virginia Tech. Just go to a better place. Go. I don't care if that's your coach. Go somewhere else that's going to develop your game a little bit more. But all joking aside, I mean, Dante Moore, Ty Simpson, like there's lots of guys that I like. There's lots of guys with talent. Until they come out, I'm gonna focus on building up the team around them, and this, that, and the other. I mean, you nailed it. Whether it's Geno Smith or I've got another one for you. I'm pretty sure he's just on a 1-year deal. Give me Jacoby Brissett. Whether it's just to start for a little bit ahead of Shador, or whether it's to start and hold the keep the seat warm until a rookie's ready to go. Give me a veteran that can run an offense. Give me a veteran that's going to keep his skill guys from going crazy on the sideline. Just give me a guy that's going to keep us in the fight, keep us afloat, and we'll be able to take advantage when the defense, puts you in good field position and, holds the opposing offense to, 130 yards in the air and 50 on the ground. I mean, it's crazy. We don't need much from that position to be respectable again, Well,
I mean, but we've had the conversation. What do you need to win the Super Bowl? You need an alien. Like, you don't win with, I mean, this year is going to be weird because so many teams are in the mix. But I think at the end of it, one of those superstar quarterbacks is going to pull away and win it. Yep. But like, you need one of those guys. So, I mean, I totally understand the idea of get to the midpoint. But you need to find a way to get that dude. And if it's get a veteran, are you going to, is Shador going to eventually become that? No. He's not. I mean, I think he can be a long-term starter at some point, but he's never going to be that guy.
Yeah.
So how are you going to get that guy? And that becomes sort of the challenge. But, it's hard to argue with the idea of, if it's Gino, if it's Jacoby, and you're like, well, we got all this other stuff going for us. And then at some point we're going to trade up and make that big move. Okay. Like, it's a precarious sort of thing because you never know when you're going to be able to do it, but that sort of thing. And that's why it's so tough to do this in December. We'll see what happens. 6 weeks until the underclassmen deadline, I believe, plus the playoff, plus everything else. And, fingers crossed, knock on wood, like one of these kids could get seriously injured in the, and change the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
So we saw Drew Alar's situation during the regular season. Hopefully that doesn't happen to one of these guys, but that could change the whole dynamic. But at least right now, I still sit here comfortably and go, there's going to be two. And maybe the Browns aren't going to be in a position to get one of those two, or maybe they don't even like one of those, both of them. But that's sort of the conversation that's going to had when we get further along.
One thing that I would float out there, and I think it provides an element of importance for these last cluster of games for Shedeur. So there are so many things that have to happen, right, before we get the direction that the team is going to take. I mean, we don't know who's coming back on the coaching staff. We don't know. And there's just there's a lot of things, right? So Shedeur is a 5th round pick, and we saw it with Tim Tebow for different circumstances, but still the same kind of thing. And also Colin Kaepernick, right? When you've got these kind of followings and you've got this spotlight on you, it's tough to be a backup. It's real tough to be a backup because the juice isn't worth the squeeze at that point. I don't want my backup quarterback overshadowing my starter. And if they take a kid in the 1st round, I sure as hell don't want my backup quarterback putting even more pressure on an already pressure-packed position with a rookie. I mean, I feel like if the last group of games go the wrong way and we bring in another rookie quarterback, I feel like Shedeur is going to be moved. That's how I view that. I understand the rookie contract type thing, and he's not something that you have to move. He could eventually be an asset. I just that's something that I see as a potential issue if you do bring in another rookie quarterback.
Well, I wrote and made the case, and I firmly believe this, that Kevin Stefanski is a really good coach for Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't get caught up in that stuff. Like, one of the things I think that is really good for Shedeur is the fact that he's never treated like a celebrity by Kevin Stefanski. He's not treated like a marketing plan by this organization. He's treated like a player who needs to be coached, everything else. And because of that, even with all the first take sports fight, conspiracy talk and the insanity of some of his fans, it bothers us. It doesn't get in the building. Like it does not affect them in there.
Well, I mean, you can't say that because it does to a degree. You've got guys fielding questions about Shedeur constantly. Now you've got the absolute nonsense with Gabriel's girlfriend and the Shedeur fans online. I mean, just little things like that. It's nothing that Shedeur is doing, just like it was nothing that Tim Tebow did.
Right,
it's
true.
Just you can't help that. That's just the background noise that comes with that guy. But that's what makes it such a unique situation. Like I said before, the juice isn't always worth the squeeze.
I agree.
It's just,
I just think for whatever reason, the combination of Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are very well equipped to do this because they just don't engage with it.
Yeah.
Even Mike Vrabel got himself not really, but sort of got caught up in arguing about first take. Kevin Stefanski just does not do that. And the thing is he's more than comfortable. I don't think he may not enjoy it, but he'll take the slings and arrows and be and just ignore it. He doesn't. Yeah. I mean, people are saying some of the worst possible things about Kevin Stefanski, unfairly, in my opinion. But
no, I agree.
It's not. It's I don't know that it's having an impact. I don't think it's changing how he coaches. I don't think it's, that's why ultimately, their fans think Kevin Stefanski is the worst thing on earth for Shedeur Sanders. I think it's the opposite. I think it absolutely insulates him from the nonsense, because I'd be curious to know. I'd love to know if there's like a Jordan Rodrigue or one of the reporters who takes an informal poll around the league, and how many coaches or front office executives would be willing to deal with this, and how many would just cut him or trade him or whatever as soon as possible to get out of this. I'd genuinely be fascinated to know what the results are on that, because I think people would be surprised at how many are just like, to your point, he's a 5th round pick. Like, who cares? Unless he's setting the world on fire, we're gonna go ahead and move on and get out of this business and go about everything else. So
well, I think the regime coming back is the best chance Shedeur has to stick around.
Absolutely.
I think a new regime is like dunzo.
And may
probably Gabriel too
in the negotiation.
Yeah.
Like, it's there. It could be so toxic that, like, that's part of the conversation, in interviews.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'll take the job. Like, you have to give me the freedom, or if I want to cut bait, I can cut bait. Like,
and think about that quarterback room too, because like we're talking about Shedeur and Gabriel. Like, well, they're gonna have to take them on. How about Deshaun? If they move on this offseason, not only are you taking on Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel, but you also have Deshaun Watson. Like, there's not a lot of wiggle room with what we can do with this quarterback room.
And they're going to be in a much better place financially. Like, if you're talking about reps, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about the maneuverability, they'll be fine, because they're obviously about to take a bunch of money off the books with presumably Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin, Joel Bitonio if he doesn't come back. Like,
maybe Njoku.
Hopefully he'll be back. But yeah, at least if he's back, it will not be at the same rate.
Yeah, I want Njoku back. I don't know that we're going to.
Yeah, I mean, those are all. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money
to get back off the cap, and even the hit that you're taking from Watson will be less intrusive than it has been as they get through this. If you're talking about like the sort of dealing with the realities of the situation, that can be a little bit more interesting, to your point. So that's the other part that I'll be curious to see how they navigate this thing. So that's a genuine question. Like I've said all along, I don't think Deshaun Watson is ever going to be effective this year. I'm going to be proven right on that sooner. Whenever it becomes official, I can finally call the victory on that. They were never, ever, ever, ever going to put him back out there this year. And I don't know what to, that's going to be its own question. Like, what happens with that? Not that I think he's going to be a factor, but like, he's there. Like, now what? Yeah.
Well, let's shift focus. And we do this every week. We'll talk about the fun side of the ball now, and we'll talk about, in my opinion, the best football player in the world right now, Myles Garrett. He is 4.5. What is it now? He is 4 sacks away, right, from the record, because it's 22.5 is the record that Strahan and Gastineau have, and now he needs 4 to hit 23. He's sitting at 19.
Doesn't have that number.
Who's
Strahan and Watt?
Oh my God, it is Watt. You're right. Okay. God, it's like I needed a reason to hate that dude more. Well, all right. Well, either way, let's focus on Myles. Let's not talk about
around him this week.
What's that?
Have you seen the conversation around him this week?
Around Pittsburgh in general? How about the stat? Did you see this stat? Do you know it's been 56 regular season games that the Steelers have had 7 or less first quarter points?
No, you're short selling that. 68 games. You know how many streak is for the Browns? 1.
That's amazing.
1 game. The Browns did this. I immediately thought of the Happy Gilmore thing. The Browns have completed this.
I was going to say, I saw that quote no more than an hour ago.
Yeah. They did it against the Raiders a week ago. The Steelers have gone, 6 years or 5 years and change since scoring 14 points in the first quarter. And like, there's people who are like, and like, this was the question you asked me, like, would you hire Mike Tomlin? Like, I totally understand why Jimmy Haslam would, but you're trying to build an offense and your first call is Mike Tomlin. Not for me. So yeah, that's Terrifying. But no, the after another listless performance against backup tackles, there's a lot of talking about, man, what a terrible contract that is for the Steelers, which I believe I had that. I suggested at the time they should probably trade him and lean into Herbig and Alex Highsmith, but they did not. And now they sit here and they've got guaranteed like $40 million hits each of the next 2 years. And look, he's not a bad player. He is not a bad player. He's getting
of course not. But that contract was
$40
for
million is a lot of money,
not what he's doing.
Yes,
like that was a thanks for your service contract. That was a we can't afford to lose you contract.
Yeah, I mean, Myles Garrett had I think Watts got 7 sacks on the year. Myles Garrett did that basically in a game and a half at one point. So, it is what it is. I don't hate that part of it, as that's just part of the full-on Steelers meltdown that's going on. Aaron Rodgers now throwing guys under the bus. They've got multiple guys out with neck injuries, including Broderick Jones, unfortunately, out for the season. But yeah, I was hoping Aaron Rodgers could keep it under control just long enough to secure that next contract. I don't know that we're going to get there, and I think time. On that. I think he's going to make sure that he's not back next year, unfortunately.
So I want to talk about 2 things with Myles. The first one is more of a shot towards local radio. I was listening to local radio today, and they were talking about like a quick summary of the game on Sunday. And they said you could argue that Shedeur Sanders outplayed Brock Purdy. And yeah. I will say this, right? Like, obviously, if you look at the box score, it was like in the same realm, right? But if you watch that game, Brock Purdy was so annoyingly tough on Sunday, just like creating things, making quick, accurate passes. George Kittle, what a stud. Just some of the catches he makes, man. And he bailed out Purdy a couple times, but Purdy also dropped it in the bucket at the end of the half there, which I thought changed everything in the game. I don't know, man. I was super impressed and annoyed with Brock Purdy. But let's talk about the sack. That Euro step. It was about a 3.5 foot Euro step, and he somehow accelerated through it. That was on Trent Williams. Who the hell can stop this guy? That's insanity.
Yeah, he barely got a hand on him. It just teleported. I saw the Charles Bentley go like, "You got a good set." The freak of nature teleported. Next play.
What do you do?
Right. Like, and the thing was, to your point about Brock Purdy, that was the only sack they got. That's what it took to get him on the ground, because he was so annoying at being decisive and getting the ball out. And this is like, I said this on the post game. Like, I thought Brock Purdy was a fantastic example of what Shedeur needs to learn.
Yeah.
Get out of plays that aren't there and move on. Just throw it away. Don't take the stupid hit. Save where you are on the field and get to the next play. I thought Jared Goff did this and a great job of this when the Browns played the Lions too. Like, just be smart and you're going to get your opportunities. And unfortunately, Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan and everybody else on that team, a very veteran offense, they did a good job of getting Brock Purdy out in space at points, giving him extra time, and then he could make those throws. And yes, that George Kittle play, the play that could have been called anything, could have been called incomplete, could have been called interception, could have been called penalty, anything. You could have called anything. And ultimately, I didn't, you could say as a salty fan that you wanted that to be anything else, but I couldn't argue with them calling it a catch. Just was like, if nothing else, on the spirit of it. Ronnie Hickman stumbled and George Kittle made a play. And that was the other part about this. Like, there's elements of the defensive performance where I could be like, yeah, this is kind of annoying. I maybe this is one game where I'm sort of like, defense could be better. I'm a little underwhelmed, but there's also a part of me like the 49ers just can do stuff really, really well. And there are just points where they just make plays and you're just like, look, man, you got us. You just beat us. And that Kittle play was one of them.
And dude, tip of the cap, they're 9-4.
Yeah.
They've had as many injuries and important injuries as anybody in football, man. They lost their starting quarterback for what, 5 games? And granted, Mac Jones was great in relief, but still, you lost your $50+ million a year quarterback. You lost. You haven't had Brandon Ayuk all year, right? The other wide receivers have been hurt. It's been a shell unit. The offensive line's been banged up, and defensively, we know they lost Warner. We know they lost Bosa. That's like the Browns losing Miles and Schlesinger. Screw that, dude. That's I'm so impressed with San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Saleh's a really good coach. I watched the defense, and again, I thought they were going to do way better against the Browns than they did. I thought the Browns could have put up way more points than they did. So on that point, I was sort of like, well, the 49ers are kind of weren't a good defense in that game. Yeah. But the offense is still full of veterans.
Yeah.
They don't play, Kyle Shanahan doesn't mess around with rookies much on that side of the ball. He is demanding in terms of what he wants from his guys, and they have been in that offense forever. That's the other part. They've got so much continuity. Guys like intrinsically know where they're going to be. And it's a really good setup where like they're just so effective at what they do. So yeah, I mean, Kyle Shanahan does it. There are certain things where Kyle Shanahan is legitimately a terrible coach. Playing injured quarterbacks, he's terrible at that. Game management, he does a lot of really, really stupid stuff. He's incredibly conservative for the offense he has.
Especially when he plays the Jaguars.
Yes. And then, but like he knows how to call plays. He knows how to get guys open. He knows how to find quarterbacks that fit what he wants to do, and has absolutely crushed in that standpoint. And like to be able to, trade 3 first-round picks for a guy who cannot play, and then be like, nope, we're fine.
Yeah, we're fine.
Roll with the 7th-round pick, Brock Purdy, and then we'll sign a guy like Mac Jones, and he'll step in and arguably play better than Purdy, and we'll just keep this thing going. Is incredible how they've been able to sort of sustain that, even though at the end of the season the 49ers are going to be considered a disappointment, and there are going to be people who are going to say they should fire Kyle Shanahan. I think there's definitely a case to be made that they should fire John Lynch, but that's its own question. And there's some other stuff. But yeah, all the credit in the world to that team.
Yeah. So let's, since we're on the topic of Miles, right, and talk about the pass rush and everything like that, which I feel like the San Francisco game, the defense played really well. They played really well. They got put in some really unfortunate situations. I think every touchdown came off of a turnover or a big special teams play that kind of pinned him deep, right? So tip of the cap to the defense, but talking about this pass rush and talking about Miles going after this record, I mean, could we ask these next 2 weeks coming up, could we ask for better quarterbacks in terms of holding onto the ball and like making yourself susceptible to getting sacked? I mean, between Cam Ward this weekend and then I think the following weekend we go to Chicago and we have Caleb. Caleb's another one, man. Caleb likes to create. He likes to hold on to the ball. I mean, Chicago's playing out of their minds right now, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of the guys they're going to play against, it's a dream. Obviously, losing Malik Collins
brutal
changes things a little bit because he's been so good. I think at the same time, the growth of Mason Graham, who had another really, really good game, helps a little bit in terms of being able to fill that gap. And then, it seems like they've been sort of nursing Mike Hall along, coming off the knee and everything else. And hopefully he's going to get like the full load of reps, because like right now, Mason Graham is playing basically double the amount of reps he is.
Yeah.
Without Malik Collins, I don't know how you're going to sustain that.
I wanted to ask you, do you think you're going to see a bigger uptick from Shelby or a bigger uptick from Mike Hall in terms of reps?
I'm hoping it's Hall because of what he can do and the talent he flashes. But if they've got to, it's got to be Shelby Harris. But they just rolled with Sam Kamara, who is a very nice practice squad player.
And your boy Huntington, when is he coming back? Hopefully he's healthy, right?
Yeah, I mean, apparently not bad enough that they put him on injured reserve, but when is he going to be back and where are they going to put him? I mean, the other part about that is like, hopefully Alex Wright's going to be back, quick. They were talking about him being close, last week, and then he ultimately didn't practice and they held out. So is he going to come back? Because that then allows Huntington to be more of an inside guy. Are we going to see, Isaiah McGuire sort of came out a little bit. Is he going to be okay? So
I was just going to ask you about McGuire, because that was a scary looking injury. It looked like he couldn't really move his foot when he kind of like held his leg and his foot was kind of dangling there. I was not excited about that, but they haven't really said anything. So he's got to be day to day at worst.
I think that's all they said about him. I think the only guy they said was week to week was Wyatt Teller coming out of that. So, yeah. So to your question, like, in terms of average time to throw, Caleb Williams right there at 3 seconds. Who they got other than Cam Ward.
It goes Cam Ward, then
7,
Caleb.
6, and then I
think we go Josh, then the Steelers, or Josh Allen and the Bills, Steelers, then the Bengals, right? Those are the last 5?
Yeah. So I should say, like, in general, I think Caleb Williams about 3.25, and Cam Ward's at like just under 3. But when they take sacks, it's because they are holding onto the ball. So you're going to get that spot. And there's nobody happier to see the Tennessee Titans than Myles Garrett, because his old buddy, Dan Moore, is sitting there, who has never blocked him once.
Well, I don't know outside of just hasn't succeeded.
If Dan Moore has ever touched Myles Garrett. It was legitimately the most disgraceful match. PFF has done this thing now they're check the mic. Sam Mons has done this thing where he has talked about Dan Moore being a really, really solid average tackle, except for this one thing where Myles Garrett's so far, because he cannot block him at all. And that's what they get. And then the other side, they've got Latham, who's okay.
Yeah.
But I still don't think this matchup is good for them. And if the Browns mess around and want to move them around, that's going to be – so, this is a terrifying situation for Cam Ward.
Yeah.
I'll be really interested to see if they can't get that going. And just the fact he's a rookie quarterback. He's a rookie quarterback. Is he going to hold on to the ball because he's a rookie quarterback? And that's what rookie quarterbacks tend to do. They may plan to try to get it out quickly. It's not like he has a whole lot of great receiving options. I mean,
no. And I'll tell you, Pete, that kid, he's tough. He's a stubborn son of a bitch. He does not care that they're bad. He's going to go down swinging every single week. I'm a big Cam Ward guy, but that's an absolute disaster. That whole situation. He should have had a veteran in front of him. He should have sat. He should have learned. He was almost as bad mechanically as Shador was. He's a mess with his footwork and everything like that. Everything's off schedule. Everything's off platform. It's just the gods put a lightning bolt in his right shoulder and he's able to throw the ball all over the yard.
Yeah. I mean, I think he needs work, but the talent is clear. Like you can see, you get glimpses every week, even as they suck. I mean, it would not surprise me if he gets sacked 10 times this week and also makes a couple throws. You're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Because that's what he is. Now he also may throw 3 picks because that's, he's going to throw it. He's going to try. We'll see if where that goes. But yeah, I mean, Myles Garrett, made the point of putting the number 25 on his wristband. That's the number he's shooting for. I found it interesting that he's actively also shooting for the tackles for loss record, which I did not realize, though it makes total sense that J.J. Watt had that one.
Yeah. What's that one at and what's Myles at? I didn't even know about that one.
It's 39. He did in 2012. Myles is at 28, and he had 2 in this past game. One of them was just Mason Graham just blew up the play, and Myles Garrett just sort of
cleaned it up. Yeah.
Was just there. He's got, 5 games to get. And I guess
he's got 4 games. You got to do it before the 17th.
Yeah, four games. I was trying to think J.J. Watt, 2012. They were 6. That was a 16-game season. So that's going to be challenging. So he's got to get 13 or 11 or 12. 12 if he wants to break it. Tackles for loss in 4 games. He's got to get 3 a game. That is not going to be easy. But if he goes off these games, if he goes off and has like another 3-4 sack game, then every one of those is a tackle for loss. So he can stack up the numbers. But it would be really difficult for me to see him not get the record for sacks given the lineup he's got and given the teammates he have. And that's where I sort of look at it and go, the Malik Collins loss is sizable.
Yeah.
He was really good. I don't know what the timeline on the recovery is for quad. That's one of those where like that's a pretty broad term.
Yeah.
But I still think I'm happier with it than knee. Quads tend to
I would lean that way as well.
Fully as opposed to knees where you never know, especially at his age. But like hopefully that's going to allow him to be back. He's under contract and going to be back next year. And hopefully that's going to be squared away. But it just sucks to lose him. And obviously that also led to the fracas with
the Juwan Jennings
thing where I love Shelby Harris so much.
He skyrocketed on everybody's list.
I always liked him because he's always been great, like on this type of stuff. But like I've never seen him that angry, ever. He's always the nicest guy. He's always super positive. All of a sudden, he's calling this guy up. Oh. And Myles Garrett's talking about this in the he says it flat out in front of his locker. Myles Garrett in the press conference is like trying to be very political about it. It was just a fascinating dynamic, and like it's weird that we've never gotten really specifics on what he said because the thing is like clearly it was in regards to Malik Collins, and clearly Malik Collins and Juwan Jennings were teammates last year.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, well, I think that's the crux of it. I'm thinking he took a shot at Malik for leaving, and
the quick, and they released Malik Collins, and the question is like, what the hell happened that like, or what does he know that like would be that bad? But I mean, the whole thing was just a circus, and now I'll be curious to see if I don't know if the 49ers play this week. I'll be curious to see if that comes up again, or if this could be like a streak of issues between Juwan Jennings and opponents. Since I was
going to say he got popped in the pills on Monday night.
Yes.
Maybe this guy should shut his mouth for a few minutes. I don't know.
That's right. Shelby Harris, like, I'm not surprised he got punched in the junk. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten punched in the jaw. So I'll be curious to see if that comes to fruition. I don't know who they play, but I know they've got more divisional games coming up, so it would not surprise me if he's got another team, another opponent where he's got bad blood.
Yeah, I'm trying to see who San Francisco's got here. I'll tell you in just a second. But yeah, as before I get into that, let's just shift over to linebacker. Carson Schlesinger again. And you look at the job this team did on Christian McCaffrey. I want to say McCaffrey only had around like 50 yards rushing. He only had 20 yards receiving on like 3 or 4 catches. And I feel like every time he got the ball, there was number 49. Just like he flies to the ball. And he was all over McCaffrey. I was so impressed with the way he played this. I want to say he had over 10 tackles if you combine the solos and the assists, the tackle for loss. Kid's just an absolute stud, Pete. Every Sunday. Every Sunday he's there. It's fantastic.
49ers are on a bye, and then they get to play the same Titans. But yes, Carson Schlesinger, him and Mason Graham is like just both of them continue to be studs, continue to be great every week. Like, I'm so happy that Mason Graham has sort of taken off since the bye week. But Carson Schlesinger has just been absolutely rock solid the entire way.
From like the start of camp. He just he showed up a dude.
And he just went through Derrick Henry, Ashton Genty, and now CMC, who are all really talented players, and all have a highlight where he just ends the play. It's just says you are done moving now, and the play's over.
Yeah, and you're talking about 2 Hall of Famers and a top 6 pick in the draft, like 2 or 3, just like oozing with talent guys.
So, I mean, like, I'm hoping people vote him into the Pro Bowl. I think Defensive Rookie of the Year is an absolute lock. I don't know what who else is even in the conversation at this point is, but like,
I don't think it is. Maybe what's his name? The James Pierce in Atlanta, because he's got like 6 sacks or something. I don't think anybody.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Because like, look, everybody's going to look at his numbers, which are impressive, but it's the fact that he is the leader of the defense. He is the green dot guy. He's playing really, really well, and then also has responsibility of handling all the calls.
Yeah.
And that is an element where fans may not appreciate necessarily, but I bet other players do. I bet players have a ton of respect for what he's been able to do so far this year, and just absolute stud. And like, he had the high ankle and
just like didn't even show.
Did not matter. Unfair. So
it didn't slow him, didn't change his style of play. And I mean, that's my whole thing. I feel like when it comes to like football fans, I feel like I'm overly patient with rookies. I feel like it's absolutely stacked against rookies. We've talked about this before. I feel like if you factor in, they finish their college season, then they go into the most intense job, interviews / training they've ever had to get into the NFL. Then they immediately go into OTAs, and then you've got training camp, and then you're just like, there's no break, right? So it's like that rookie wall is the result of playing almost 2 years nonstop of football. And these guys just like, they run into a wall. It's so hard to be a rookie. You're a kid. You're young. You're the worst you're going to be at football for the rest of your life. You're only going to get better with every snap, but you're still a rookie. I've not once this year been like, it's a rookie mistake. No big deal. He'll learn. He'll get better. He doesn't make rookie mistakes, Pete. Like, he's just like, he's where he's supposed to be.
Well, that, and, from the end of your last college season to the end of your rookie year is basically nonstop. Like, because you go through the draft process, you do all the training, you do all the madness, right into it. Like, there's, the one guy who like, I think took a probably appropriate process was Marvin Harrison Jr. And his career, I'm certainly not blaming this, but I'm just saying, like, and his career has not gone the way it is. So, like, the way anyone would want. So I don't know how many team players are going to be like, I'm going to follow that guy's lead and say, I'm just going to skip sort of the draft process, try to get focused entirely on being an NFL player and not worry about this other stuff. Because at the time it seemed really smart for him because he didn't really have to prove anything. Yeah. But like right now they're like worried he's going to be out for the rest of the year with a heel injury, like on top of everything else he's dealt with. So like, again, these are not related. It's just, if he was super successful, like if he was great right out of the rip, if he's doing what Carson Schweschinger's doing as a wide receiver, I think there'd probably be more of the top prospects who are like, listen, I'll see you in April. You can do what you want. I'll do the meetings. I'll do all that stuff, but I'm not doing the workouts. I'm not going to try to, train myself to specifically do these tests. I'm just going to worry about what do I need to do to be ready in June and July.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my whole thing with the offseason was just to correlate into why I think rookies have it stacked against them. And I have a low bar of expectations for most rookies because they're rookies. Like, that's just, they're the worst they're going to be in their career. They're only going to get better from here, but they're starting at the bottom. Plus, you've got the physical transition that you're making going from playing against college kids to men with mortgages and families. Like, there's just so many things. I am floored on a weekly basis with how little he looks like a rookie. He didn't look like a rookie as early as training camp. It's been such a breath of fresh air. And in the midst of a lost season, this is a 3-win team, and we're constantly talking about, firing the staff and replacing this, that, and the other. It's really nice to see that they hit so many absolute home runs with these draft picks. And there is a good core. There is a good nucleus.
Well, I mean, and that's sort of like, you go back to Kyle Shanahan, like it's the anti-Shanahan approach. Or Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has been like averse to playing any of the rookies.
All vets. Yep.
They drafted 12 guys. He didn't use them other than Genty.
And they hardly use Genty.
And Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, whatever you want to say about the job they've done, they clearly got together on this and said, this is what we want to do. We're going to lean into these rookies. And it's paid off. Harold Fannin and Quinshon Judkins were, obviously Judkins' situation was a little unique, but the fact that they trusted him almost immediately, Fannin was immediately a featured part of the game plan.
Yep.
Like, these are the things where I sit here and go, obviously I don't want to fire Stefanski, but I sit here and go, how many coaches would have been willing to do this? Obviously, the defense was a little bit of a different situation. You took Graham, top 5. And Carson Schweschinger was always going to play. It was just a question of how much and where. Yeah. And it's a little bit easier to sort of slot those guys into a already successful defense where you're covered with so many things.
For sure.
As opposed to we're going to look like basically the 69 Bucks on offense, and just throw out all the rookies and see who can stick. And they've gotten a lot of success with that. Judkins and Fannin are the most successful, but and obviously Sampson has not proven himself necessarily, but I'm more than willing to believe he can be a very good player along with Judkins. I have reason to believe Isaiah Bond can be a contributor as a wide receiver 4 and those type of things. So if that's all they get out of that, okay, they got really good initial return on investment, and now they just need to keep adding to it. And it also shows a blueprint for if they're going to do the same thing in terms of infusing talent on that side of the ball. They did it and did it really well. They've got a good handle on what that looks like. Now, obviously, they've got to identify the right players to do that with, but put it this way. If the Browns find themselves outside of the quarterback range, and whether it's Mekhi Lemon or Carnell Tate, they draft one of those guys. They trade, perfect world. They ransom Caleb Downs, get a little extra goodies, and then take one of those guys. Are you sitting there going, yeah, I don't know how they're going to incorporate these guys in the offense? I'm not. I'm sitting here going, sign me up. Let's, I will have the requisite amount of caution. They're rookies, but maybe I'm spoiled at this point and be like, bring it on. I saw what you did with the last group of guys. I want to see just how quickly we can get the guys up and running. That's the one weird element of this whole, the success of this draft class, and why I think there are people trying to undersell how impressive the return on investment, for all the reasons you just talked about. You could easily have a really successful draft class and not get nearly the ability, not nearly as fast as you could. But here again, you say, look, I've got Harold Fant, I got Quinshon Judkins, I got Dylan Sampson, I got all these other guys, and I'm gonna drop Carnell Tate right in the middle of this offense with the current coaching staff, or maybe they change some assistants or whatever. They tweak. Obviously, I want Bub Ventrone fired the day after the season ends, whatever. But if they dump Carnell Tate in this offense, I'm sitting here and go, let's roll, see what we do. Yeah. Let's do it. That's obviously that's because Carnell Tate is really good, or Mekhi Lemon. I'll just say Carnell Tate because he's got more of the natural qualities that sort of stand out in terms of size and speed and all that stuff. But just
and I feel look, outside of the whole homer aspect, which I'm sure all of us have a little bit, Ohio State's a factory, man. Ohio State just produces professional receivers. Yep. And it's just that's you never want a helmet scout, right? But that's a case where it's okay, he's got the size, he's got the production, he's got everything that I want to see. And he's coming from a place where it's proven for producing professional guys that can contribute right away. I mean, Tate, I think is a slam dunk. I think he's a great.
And that may be the edge. I mean, if I'm trying to manipulate people into saying they should keep Andrew Berry, I would just say you bitched endlessly about this team not taking Ohio State players. Andrew Berry keeps packing them in.
Yep.
He keeps even the guys you don't want from Ohio State, he packs them in. He just brings them on in. A lot of people are I don't know about DeJuan Jones. Andrew Berry's get over here. Ronnie Hickman has been a really nice player, out of there. Obviously, Mike Hall is really talented.
Well, and how about this, Pete? I hated Mason Graham so much after those 3 years. I love him to death now. I'm so glad.
Well, I mean, one, it's really funny how quickly beating Michigan just disappeared off the face of the earth. But that entire game, I'm just sitting there going, Mason Graham is, I'm thinking in my head and tweeted out, Mason Graham is not walking through that door. And the second half, Ohio State's I don't see Mason Graham here. And just said, we're just running right over you. Obviously, Kenneth Grant was a really good player in that game last year too.
Yeah.
But going into that game, there were two things I thought to myself. One, Chip Kelly's crappy game plan isn't here because it was bad. And I have I think Chip Kelly's a really, really good college coach. And I've seen him clinic. I've seen him up close and personal as far as him working and doing all this stuff and teaching and all this. He's really, really good. That game plan sucked. Yeah. And then two, Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant are not there. And the Buckeyes are going to win based off those two facts alone. And they just absolutely mauled them. So yeah, it's a testament to how good he was to that. And obviously seeing it for the Browns, but yeah, he's just an unbelievable player and completely changed the dynamic of that team that they did not have those guys.
And not just that, though. Mason's chippy. He's got a bad attitude out there. He's always running his mouth. He's always got a smirk on his face. Like, you want to talk about a dude you love when he's on your team, but absolutely loathe when he's the opponent. I'm smitten, man. He's so tough. He's such a little punk out there. I love it. I absolutely love it. And he's a dog. Like, the stuff that he does. Like, I knew he was tough. I knew he was a good player, but we talked about it last week. Splitting out in a wide 9 and like putting a move on an offensive tackle. That's not a play that I thought was in his playbook. I'm pretty thrilled. And you're right. The Browns defense, being as good as it is, allowed both him and Schlesinger to just kind of drop in and just do what they do. Like, it took so much pressure off them. But that was early. It's gotten to the point now that they are accentuating all of that talent in that defense. They are elevating the defense now. So it's like, early on, yeah, it helped him ease the transition, but now they're running with it, dude.
Yeah, I mean, every week he has a nice pursuit tackle. Every week there's a screen or something where he immediately turns around and makes a play. The other part is, Myles Garrett's obviously starting to get questions about the streak and everything else. He is keenly aware of how important the investments the Browns made are, and he immediately shouts out Mason Graham almost every time, in part probably because he has no sacks. Like, he's probably sitting there going, I have taken all of his kids' sacks.
Literally all of them.
But he understands, like, he like, I've said this in terms of, I think more than any other year in his career, his sacks are a team statistic. He's talking about that in terms of being a team statistic. He talks about them. He right now he talks – like the franchise running back who's thanking his linemen in terms of just the way he reveres those guys in front. And you could say it's lip service, like some great running back, Derrick Henry running for, 5,300 yards in high school or whatever, just as a senior or whatever.
Yeah.
You can sit there and go, yeah, thanks to my linemen when you're like, that good. But, like,
I wouldn't gain a yard without them.
But, I don't think it's lip service. I think he genuinely understands just how good how much easier his life is with those guys. And you're going to see it most likely Sunday. If he breaks that record, potentially as early as this week, it's because those guys are getting interior pressure. Like, the Titans line, Peter Skoronski's their best player on the line, arguably, at least as far as PFF thinks. Nice
guard,
player.
right? Left guard, right?
Yes, he's the left guard. But, like, everybody else is sort of meh. And so, like, if obviously just smoking Dan Moore will not be a problem, but if he's getting that interior pressure that just gives Cam Ward nowhere to go, and he's able to get 4 in that game or whatever, 3 or whatever, it's going to be because of the interior pressure and the way that defense is operating, which is, that was the other part of watching the defense is, like, even though, again, I was sort of annoyed at Tyson Campbell a little bit this week, I'm also sort of like, one, I love that he's on the team. And two, again, there are times where I'm just like, yeah, they got you. And it's just like, they're pretty good at this and that element. But, like, I thought this was sort of a forgettable week for the corners.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was certainly I think Ronnie Hickman would rather forget this one, not because he was bad, but he just got caught in an awkward position. The one he just stumbled. Yeah. And George Kittle's really, really good. But, like, this is a week where they weren't as good as they could have been, but I also just have to be like, yeah, the 49ers are pretty good.
Yeah, well, and my biggest issue was Sunday and the defensive letdowns. I feel like it was more Brock Purdy making unique plays than it was the defense playing poorly. Like, there's some throws that if they're quick and they're on time and they're in the right spot, there's no defending it. There's just not, And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the defense is absolved of anything, but at the end of the day, you got a really talented kid making plays back there. And I feel like Myles would have had at least 2 more sacks if you would have had either a lesser athlete or somebody who wasn't quite as quick with processing as Purdy. I mean, we controlled the line of scrimmage. We were all over the place. The kid just made plays. He was pesky. He was annoying all game long.
Yeah, I think he got credit for 8 pressures with the sack and everything else. Yeah, there were a number of plays. I mean, obviously there was times where Brock Purdy, on the one, he threw it away, and Myles Garrett's just sitting there with his
Just smiling
smile on his face because he knows, and Brock Purdy knew exactly what it was, and it was just like, yeah, I completely had it, and he just threw the ball away. So yeah, I mean, I don't think Cam Ward's going to do that. Maybe I will be surprised. Maybe there's some plan. Maybe they're going to just put 7 guys over there and just have Cam Ward throw to single receiver designs, but
just wide receiver screens all day. Just get rid of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game, like, it sets up really well for them on both sides of the ball. I'm hopeful that they can really take advantage of this one. And again, it's at home. It just sets up in every single way you'd want. Hopefully, special teams is better because obviously that killed them in this past game.
Yeah.
But offense and defense, man, you have to feel good on both matchups.
So you said something a little bit earlier, and I wanted to touch on it. So you are over the Bubba Ventrone experiment. You're ready to move on from that?
I said at the time of the Jets game, it's like at the end of the season, it's time to go. Like, I can't defend this. It's historically bad in terms of efficiency. And look, there's an element where life isn't fair. I think in some ways you can probably say that maybe the Browns aren't as focused on special teams this year as they should be in terms of their overall emphasis, that they're probably putting more emphasis in terms of offense and some of the development there. But like, special teams are used to getting the extras and some of these other guys. And, it's not like the Browns didn't get guys specifically that Ventrone wanted. Obviously, Carter got hurt. That was, the big signing for them as a kick return specialist. But like,
yeah, but the return game's not the issue.
I'm not going to put Larvadane's fumbles on Ventrone in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to put Corley mistake on Ventrone in any way, shape, or form. But and look, like on returns and stuff, I don't doubt that it comes down to a single guy not doing his job and being in the wrong place or whatever, or getting out leverage or whatever it is. But it just happens so often where I'm just like, how can I possibly defend this? And like, Bubba Ventrone is a guy who's like, every time, and maybe his agent's just a wizard, every time there's a list of coaches to keep an eye on for head coaching openings, he's always on that list.
Yeah.
But it just has not worked here. And look, I've said the same thing after the Jets game. Mid-season firings do nothing for me.
Yeah.
I don't think they help. I think the notion of accountability in that scenario is completely mythical. Because if you who are you trying to send the message to? Is it to the other coaches who everybody says should be fired anyway? Like if you're a person saying that the Browns are bad or whatever because they don't fire Bubba Ventrone today, but you're also saying Kevin Stefanski should be fired at the end of the season, what difference does it make?
Yep.
But if you're then saying, well, I've got to send a message to the players. Malachi Corley was cut after his first year with the Jets. Gage Larvadane is an undrafted rookie. What message does he need to be sent? Like, these are guys where one, and I'll use the example of Trey Avery. They did cut him. Yep. And people sort of already forgotten about him because that's how these guys are forgettable. They are disposable. If the Browns cut these type of guys, you won't forget about it. It's like when they had the experiment with I can't even think of his name, the dude out of the University of Florida who started with the Giants, Kadarius Toney. Like, you will forget about him like you forget about Kadarius Toney. So like this idea, like that you're sending a message. If you're really fans want a message to them, you want the organization to tell you they're doing something.
Yeah.
It's not about the players in that scenario, but like, even as you're trying to get this message sent, you completely forget these guys exist a week after they're here. So it doesn't do anything. So, and then the other part is like, it's not like you go out and get another guy tomorrow. Somebody has to coach the unit. So, and then as I said earlier, if you look at the inverse sort of incentives and like special teams are what's killing you and that gets you your quarterback, okay. Like, but like, no, I'm 1,000% like I am, unless there's a reason for cause. Brian Daboll was apparently such an outrageous dick with the New York Giants that they said, you got to go.
Yeah.
That's fine. if that's the case with Ventrone, so be it. Fire him for cause, even if you're not saying for cause, and saying, look, we just cannot have this guy in the building. But other than that, play it out.
Yeah.
Don't put more work on everybody else. Don't try to send some contrived message, because at the end of the day, the accountability is he loses his job at the end of the year.
Yeah.
That's the accountability. It doesn't matter that you do it 5 weeks early. He's still getting paid the whole thing. He just gets to go home early. He gets to go at home. Okay. Or if you fired him before, you got Thanksgiving and Christmas at home, still getting the full contract, and then he's on to the next job. You're gonna forget about that. It's like you have this belief in your head that you're shaming him somehow.
Yeah.
You forget about that.
That's all anybody wants. They want their anger on Sunday to be justified with the team reacting. That's what it's all about. Fire this guy, bench that guy. It's all about I'm pissed and I need somebody to hold some people accountable. That's all it is. I hate it. If you're gonna do that in week 3, maybe there's something to it. But you don't hire. It's week 14. They're not hiring somebody else to do the job. So just live with it at the end of the year, get rid of him, and hire somebody else. Done. And there's probably some other assistants that are going to get replaced. That's how it goes. But I just, that stuff doesn't matter to me. I cannot defend bringing back Ventrone for another season. I just can't. But I don't need to make it a point to show that. If nothing else, look, man, the guy's got to go to a press conference every week. He's got to answer questions. That's punishment more than getting to go home and not answer anything. Well,
so,
and there you go. Anything. I mean, and I understand, you saying it's gotten to the point with Ventrone that it's tough to argue for him. There's just so many things have just been mounting, and it's the same stuff. But at the end of the day, these special teams errors, to me, they're all player errors. They are. I don't think that the Browns are getting out schemed and they just can't figure out how to, stay in their lanes and contain these returns. They're player failures. It's just coaching is obviously of the utmost importance, but at the end of the day, it's players on the field, either making plays or not making plays. So it's so hard for me, especially in the scenario where it's a kick return. It's guys aren't making tackles. It's tough to pin that on the coach.
Yeah, I mean, and look, you ultimately have to own what's on the field, and that's ultimately where you get fired. But I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to player error. So you gotta wait a month, okay, and then he's gone. Great. And if you wanted to get Stefanski fired, you can use this as an argument to fire him too. But at that point, what you're really saying, if you want Stefanski fired, but you have to fire Bubba Ventrone now, is you want to slowly march guys off the plank and execute them that way, which just seems vindictive at that point. It's not sending a message. And look, to me, how you fire is everybody looks at you're going to, fans are going to forget Bubba Ventrone real fast, but other coaches won't, and agents don't. So I think there's something to be said for doing right by the guys that you're trying, being right by those guys, because ultimately you want Kevin Stefanski or whoever to be somebody you want to work for your organization. You want your organization to be as a place that feels like a good place to work, not just this mythical accountability where you screw up, we fire you, and that's sort of the deal. Ultimately, that's where you're going to lose your job at some point if you can't do it. But beyond that, I'm just uninterested in all this other crap. And same thing with Mike Prefer before, who I didn't like either as a special teams coach. But same deal. You let him go at the end of the year and then move on. And in that case, it was Kevin Stefanski waited even a minute because the Colts did what they did in terms of their weird firing situation. And then he suddenly became available, and they're like, well, Prefer, get out. We're going with this guy. And that's the move. Okay. That's how they do it.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too is there's still a stigma, or maybe a black rain cloud hanging over Browns ownership. They're not well thought of. They're not overly trusted. So if they are just going to be flippant and, fire these coaches, that's another, check on the wrong side of boxes, man. People don't want to see that. It's the coaching fraternity is very close knit. These guys all know each other. They all know about all these teams, all these opportunities. This is all people see that stuff. We're not a 3-9 team because Bubba Ventrone has destroyed the special teams. But Bubba Ventrone is the lowest hanging fruit on the roster right now. So that's what people want to go for.
Right. So, I mean, that's where it goes. At the end of the season, he goes.
How about this division, Pete? Who's going to win this division? I mean, I still lean Baltimore, but who the hell knows?
Maybe the Bengals will come back and win it at 8-9. Everybody sucks. They are all terrible. The AFC North is terrible.
Yeah.
I would still lean towards the Ravens. I think the Steelers are imploding in a way that the Ravens are not. I don't see good things happening for the Steelers. Maybe they're going to turn it around real fast this week, but like this is the week. It's Steelers Ravens. Like,
yeah,
if they don't sort of like, I mean, both teams are not playing well. The Steelers are way more publicly pissed at each other.
Yeah,
this may be the season for both these teams, but it feels like the Steelers' situation is way more tenuous than the Ravens. So if they lose this one, they will obviously have just choked away that massive lead in the division they had, which won't help.
Yeah.
And two, you've already got people pissed at each other. You've already, all these people want Mike Tomlin fired. Aaron Rodgers hates everyone, which sort of expected, but nevertheless, we're here. TJ Watt is not doing what a $40 million defensive end is supposed to do. The defense is wildly overpaid and got absolutely run over by the Buffalo Bills with backup tackles and then a limited center.
Do you see they cut Slay? They activated Asante Samuel Jr.
Yes,
so that's a lateral move if I've ever seen it.
Well, I mean, Darius Slay looked 100 years old.
Yeah.
They also got the old Vikings receiver Adam.
Oh yeah, Thielen. Yeah.
Off waivers, so they've got another move they're going to have to make. But and Asante Samuel, I mean, I really like him as a player. Neck fusion scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
So they cleared him. So we'll see if that improves the situation any at all on that side of the ball. But Asante Samuel is not going to fix the fact that they gave up basically 300 yards rushing to the Buffalo Bills. And what do you think the Ravens are going to try to do? They're going to try to pound the ball, and I'll be curious to see how successful they are in that sort of grudge match type thing. And then on the other side of this, Ravens' offensive line is not good. Lamar Jackson is not fully healthy, though he looked better against the Bengals.
He still doesn't look like Lamar.
But you're right, and he turned over the ball 17 times in that game, which is one uncharacteristic, but just completely changed the game in terms of didn't give them a shot. I still think the Ravens are probably the best team and probably the best shot to win this thing. The one that I'm sort of curious to see is, and it's obviously an unlikely scenario, which is the Bengals just rip off a series of wins because their defense is playing better.
Yeah. They're in Buffalo this week. That's not going to be an easy one.
Yeah. So, I mean, this whole thing could go sideways real fast for them, but
and then the following week, they've got Baltimore. And then Pittsburgh picks up against the Dolphins on Monday night.
Who are playing better.
They are. Although I tell you, Tua might have had the worst game of his career last weekend. But the Dolphins have been playing better. A little more commitment to the running game. But I'll tell you, there's not many fan bases right now, Pete, that don't want to fire their coach and bench their quarterback. The NFL is an absolute disaster right now.
Who is the team that's sitting here? There are two teams that like their coach right now. I'll go three teams that I know like their coach right now. And two of them are easily the favorites for coach of the year. The Chicago Bears like their coach, Ben Johnson, who, if you ask me who I think should win coach of the year, I'd pick him.
Or Vrabel.
Well,
Vrabel's tough.
I will give Ben Johnson a slight edge because the Bears have played a much more difficult schedule and division than the Patriots.
I'll give you that.
Having said that, Vrabel is entirely deserving. If Vrabel gets the award, I'm not going to be there like, screw him. Now, Mike Vrabel certainly has the Patriots fans are happy with Mike Vrabel. In fact, they think he has healing powers right now. That's been a whole thing this year. He also may have the MVP of the league. But whatever. Those two teams are happy with their head coach, and then I assume Seattle is very happy with their head coach.
Yeah.
That leaves 29 other teams who all hate their coach.
Hate him so much.
And maybe Houston likes D'Amico Ryans a little more than they were earlier there because they're playing well. But yeah, I mean,
but you talk that fan base though, they don't love him.
There's 20, it's basically 29 teams that just absolutely hate their coach, and it's awful. So and then all these teams want to fire their coach, or some of them have, obviously. And then you're sitting there going, well, who's going to fill all these jobs? And that's the other part. I don't know where this is going to go because, if the Steelers lose this game, getting back to the AFC North, that's going to get real loud.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's going to be very.
It's already a conversation. It's already a conversation. I saw Albert Breer talking about it. I've seen multiple national people sort of going, well, maybe it's that time. And even if they retained it, the conversations they're going to have with how old the roster is and all this.
Oh, yeah.
I said this.
There's 6 games left, Pete. Or I'm sorry, there's 5 games left. If they go 2-3, it's going to be the first time they have a losing season over Tomlin. And like we talked about, they got Miami after this weekend where they have Baltimore. And then they've got, I want to say Cleveland, right? They've got us in week 17. And then they finish the season against Baltimore again.
Yeah, they've got Baltimore twice.
Yep. So they got Baltimore twice, Cleveland, Miami.
And they've got
what's that?
They've got Detroit on the road.
Oh, there we go.
So that's the other problem they run into. They've got at Baltimore, home against the Dolphins, at Detroit, at Cleveland, home against the Ravens. That is not a fun stretch.
Nope, that is not.
And say what you will about what the Browns are right now. They're an annoying matchup for basically any team in this division, but for the Steelers in particular, just because of the way they play defense.
Yep.
Now, having said that, with the rookie quarterback play, they may just hand them the game. And then the Browns are an annoying matchup for the Bengals. Oh
yeah. You think Burrow wants to see that defensive front week 18?
I'm super pumped for that one. Or the Mims kid. I'm sure he's super excited to see Myles Garrett potentially land up on his side. Yeah,
Marius, he had such a good game last time.
Man. So yeah, the AFC North is a genuine issue. And look, taking this back to the Browns, how does Jimmy Haslam view that? On the one hand, he could sit there and go, man, this division was terrible. We should be better in this division. This could have been an opportunity for us to really make a move. On the other hand, he might sit there and go,
we're not that far away.
The Steelers are 1,000 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That team is going to need to make serious adjustments. Maybe they're going to try to run it back as is. But even if they do, it's a really old roster. Beyond, Aaron Rodgers, how much longer does Cam Hayward want to do this? Who, by the way, is still playing at an unbelievable level. I am so bitter at how good he is at football.
Yeah,
I loved him at Ohio State too. He was so good.
A career Steeler too. That's the worst
and another player who I remember at the beginning of the year, the draft. He had an awesome I assume junior year. I think he played all 4.
Yeah,
and was he's going to be a top 5 pick. He's going to be a top 10 pick. He went 30 to the Steelers that next year because he didn't have a great senior year. But whatever. Obviously, the Watt question, Jalen Ramsey. They've got a lot of old guys, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. How long do they want to keep trying to do this? The Ravens, I think the Ravens can theoretically bounce back better than any of the teams in the division. I think they can bounce back the best.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to put it past Lamar Jackson to just get really healthy and be an MVP again.
Yeah.
I do think they have genuine issues. I'm genuinely curious to see how they handle
Derrick Henry.
Well, that's one. But also, are they going to try to re-sign their center?
Yeah.
Tyler Linderbaum, because he's literally their best lineman right now.
They got to figure out something with Ronnie Stanley. He's making too much money to be the part-time player that he is.
So they need to make a whole bunch of investment on the line. They still don't have a pass rush. So those are questions. And then they'll figure it out on the other things. They've got a lot of skill. They've got all those things. So they are the candidate I think are the best to sort of bounce back. The other question is, like, where are the Bengals going?
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson, gone. There's no way he's coming back. They set up the contract to make sure he would leave or had the freedom to leave. Their defense is playing better now, but like they still have issues to figure out. Joe Burrow still gets hurt. How are they going to address that? And maybe they are an okay candidate to sort of be better, but they're still not going to spend a bunch of money. So
no, but that's a team though that I feel like if they just go ham and go heavy on defense in a draft and have a really good draft, the draft hits, they can turn the defense around a little bit enough to, if the offense stays healthy, you don't want to play that team. Because if Burrow stays healthy, that's the
Browns.
Yeah. The
Browns absolutely match up with the Bengals better than anybody. Now, they obviously choked the game away this year, but like they had that game. I felt so confident going into that game up until Quinshon Judkins was sort of disappeared for a while. And then I felt real good again watching the game. They just match up so well against them. But that's a question. But like, does Jimmy Haslam sort of view this team and go, the AFC North is very gettable if the Browns can make the right moves on the offensive side of the ball? And this would sort of potentially lean into your direction of the build the team and get the veteran. That you could go in and theoretically the defense is intact. You make those moves. You get Carnell Tate. You take a lineman. You do those things in free agency to make the line good. You get a Geno Smith or Jacoby Brissett or something. And then can you go in next year and then just steal the division?
Yeah.
Which they haven't done since 1989. Like, obviously, my goal, like, don't get me wrong, I want to win the division. I was sitting there in 2023 going, man, is there a way to do it?
Yeah.
But I want to win the Super Bowl, so I'm not concerned with that. But I would not be surprised if Jimmy Haslam is.
Yeah.
And he sits there and goes, there's a path for us to do this, and maybe that's a compelling reason for him to sort of stay at this thing, especially if the Browns still end up in the fourth place schedule. I don't know which divisions they play next year, but it's certainly going to be an easier schedule than this year, at least in terms of how they land relative to weird international games and road games. I can't imagine it's going to be as brutal as this year was. So that's sort of where I'm sitting here. The AFC North is an absolute dumpster fire this year. And on the one hand, you can be absolutely pissed about how the Browns did not take advantage of it. On the other hand, you sit here and go, well, if they do it right, they're going to be right at the top of this thing and potentially steal it in a year, going from worst to first. Is this going to turn into sort of the NFC South did for years and years and years before Tampa sort of taking control? I don't know. And those are the things I don't know the answer to with the ownership. I have a sense that it's going to be, we're going to stick with it another year.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah. And look, I've gone back and forth with what I want, because obviously you hit certain lows on certain Sundays and you just don't really see a point. But by and large, it's really like I can understand you want to crush Stefanski for the win-loss record of the last 2 years, for the offensive ineptitude of the last 2 years. I get all that. I'm not ready to say that the guy's not a good coach, and I'm not ready to say this is all his fault. He's been dealt a pretty rough hand given the quarterback situation. A lot of that is his fault and his doing. Same with Barry, but like there's a lot of intrigue for me to see them run this back, just because all the experience that these young guys are getting. Because everybody's focused on the draft, everybody's focused on what we can add in free agency, but the leap that young players take from year 1 to year 2 or year 2 to year 3, these raise the skill level of your team as well. And we've got so many young guys that are going to be a year better, a year more comfortable, a year more experienced. And I feel like if they make a couple good moves, and especially if they get a veteran quarterback that can operate an offense, this team can jump, man. It can absolutely make a leap.
Well, I mean, the thing you get worried about with sort of projecting rookies, obviously with quarterbacks in particular, not that the Browns have that situation, but like you like to assume, oh, they're going to jump. Let's assume for the sake of argument that they just stay exactly the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Carson Wentz is still a Pro Bowl linebacker. Mason Graham's
200%. Well, Pete, I'm talking about the guys that like aren't dudes right away. Like Mason Graham.
No, I'm with you. It's just like
I'm talking about Isaiah Bond. I'm talking about Jamari Thrash, Malachi Corley. I'm talking about Dylan Sampson. I think is going to make a jump next year.
But I think
Harold Cannon will make a jump even though he's already good.
Well, I think what's inevitably happen. Like I don't know how much better Carson Wentz can get. Like legitimately, like I assume he will get smarter and do those things. But like, given the way Mason Graham's playing, I will not be shocked if next year people are like Mason Graham's going to be, all pro and all this and get outsized expectations. And I don't think that's realistic. Or, I genuinely do believe that Quinshon Judkins gets functional blocking. He will be an absolute stud.
Yes.
But if it's Harold Fannin, I could see a world where Harold Fannin, who is very good, stays the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's sort of the thing. But I agree. I'm hoping that in it you're going to have, rather than getting outsized expectations for those guys who have already been good, that you're going to get more guys who just sort of join them. Like I'm hoping, another year Aiden Huntington takes a step up and becomes more of a real part of the rotation, or Mike Hall, hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, nothing else happens to him, and now a fully healthy year 3, he's ready to like get to full speed, or Isaiah McGuire.
And I'm talking more in terms of what these guys do on the field, like their actual like ability as a player. I mean, not statistically speaking, because that's where everything gets crazy, right? Is when the expectations come and this guy's got to get this many catches and this many yards, and it's always over the top. It's always too much. I'm just looking at this as like we have rookie contributors right now who are playing pretty well, and then we have rookie like performers who are playing really well. Okay. I'm talking about the guys that are just scratching the surface, becoming NFL players, becoming professional, and just getting better at their job and what they do. Just not being a rookie is going to enhance the team. It's just like little things like that. It's just a more nuance, more layers, basically.
Well, the other part, and because the defense is going to be intact, I'm hoping just as a unit, they're like, we know what we're doing. And I've said this all along, like once the season sort of took the turn it's taken, lean into it, experiment, figure out what else, other stuff you can do, develop the other pitches, to borrow Jim Schwartz's terminology.
Yeah.
And then because, if they re-sign Devin Bush, presumably we'll re-sign Ronnie Hickman. That would make all 11 coming back. And you're just like, okay, now it's time to enhance what we are.
Figure out the offense.
Get even better. We're a great defense. We can be the elite. We can be that Baltimore Ravens 2000 or whatever, the Bucks, whatever year it was.
2002 and 2000 for the Ravens.
Yeah. So like those are the things where I think it's a little bit more realistic to do that. And then, obviously it's what can you do in offense? Because obviously it's going to be difficult to be worse. Not to say it can't be done, but it's going to be difficult to be worse. So, I mean, like if you can make any positive, if you can just get to average 16th, just get to 16. You
get to 16, you're a playoff team with that defense.
You should be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously I think the special teams equation gets a little bit easier to fix for all the same reasons we just talked about. I think the more experience this team has, the easier it is for them to then find guys specifically do that. Because I think part of the problem you run into is like, you just look at the wide receiver room. After Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman, you've got a bunch of young guys that haven't established themselves really at anything. And like, you're trying to get them to figure themselves out at receiver. And then it's like a side quest, have them figure out a special teams element. Obviously, Gage Larvinain naturally is trying to figure that, but he's playing receiver. Malachi Corley is trying to find a spot on kick return, but he's playing on offense. So like that part also may make it a little bit easier. If they aren't more comfortable on the offensive element, then that may make it easier for them to be more confident and focused and like more detail oriented on the special team stuff. Hopefully that's the dream in that scenario.
What's your take on Cedric Tillman only getting one target and not really being a factor in the passing game, not even really getting looked at? Do you think it's more of a Shador just being ineffective and the offense not getting able to really get any traction with the passing game, or do you think they like some of the younger, shiftier guys and are maybe not phasing him out of the offense, but just going with a different group?
As it relates to what I just watched on the All 22, this was going against a team who runs a whole lot of quarters and using Cedric Tillman to clear out space and set up Jerry Jeudy to be consistently going against a safety. Like, you watch a lot of the plays where you're like seeing a wide open Jerry Jeudy. Cedric Tillman is doing something to take a corner out or create space for him. I think that's entirely a function of the opponent they were playing and what they were trying to do. Because again, as I said, Jerry Jeudy consistently college open, Harold Fannin open a whole lot of times. Cedric Tillman does get open, can do some things, and I think he's continuing to develop as a player. But you watch him, he's literally just like doing dirty work for everybody else in there. And I think that's certainly a value. But I think that's just the nature of playing a quarters defense where you're sitting there going, I can – and this is why I thought the game plan was so good. And one of the reasons I'm sort of, I think Kevin Stefanski's a really good coach, but I'm also kind of curious to see, not that I can necessarily parse it out specifically, but like
what Tommy Rees
influence grow and what does that look like? But they did a great job of consistently finding ways to get Jerry Jeudy matching up on a safety who's sitting there going, I'm not getting beat and bailing, or those type of things, and getting him in space. So I think a lot of that is the function of the defense they're going against. I can't say I know too much about what Tennessee's going to try to run, but it just comes down to what's going to be there. Because obviously, like last year, the Ravens just decided we don't cover Cedric Tillman. So, okay, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, I don't sit here worrying about Cedric Tillman. I sit here thinking they need another receiver, another premium receiver to make Cedric Tillman that much better. But he just does so much dirty work. I know a lot of people like are down on Cedric Tillman. I have immense admiration for the way that kid plays.
Yeah.
Because he blocks, he does all kinds of stuff. I like when Chad O'Shea talks about him, I understand why he loves Cedric Tillman. So like, there's some people I see like, oh, Cedric Tillman sucks, he's a bust and all this. I do not see that. I don't
see that either.
I think as the offense grows, he will grow. Obviously, the biggest thing with Cedric Tillman, beyond just continuing to
stay healthy,
is stay healthy and continue to develop. But I am not by any stretch discouraged with Cedric Tillman. I'm discouraged by the just overall offensive output.
All right. Well, I got a final question for you because we're up against it with time. We're getting ready to get out of here. But obviously it's been a long season, and week to week it's going to be a different game plan, a different scheme, all that stuff. Watching the All 22 after these first 12 games, is your takeaway that the coaching staff is inept, or the quarterback position is basically keeping from the offense from running anything that these coaches want to do?
Oh, 1,000%. If I'm choosing sides, I think the coaching staff can coach and the offense is held back by quarterback play. I would just add that there are certainly like I will go to the Raiders game. There were games that, like, the Browns were not, what they tried to do was not very good.
Yeah.
But like, you watch the 49ers tape as an example, there are certainly other games you're sitting there going, it's all sitting there. Like, Kevin Stefanski, and whether it's Tommy Rees or whoever, has not lost his fastball. You're not sitting there going, there's not stuff there. Every game you're sitting there going, man, it's there. You just need somebody to be able to pull it all together. And they haven't had that. Obviously, the line of scrimmage was a huge element, continues to be a huge element. I've never sat there and wavered and go, man, this offense doesn't work, because I've done that. Having coached, like, I've seen the ebbs and flows where you're like, I can absolutely see why this works. And when you don't have the talent, everybody looks stupid. Everybody looks like a chump when you don't have the guys to run it. And that's sort of where we're at. But like, you watch it on tape, you see it, and you're like, this is open. They could make this play. And that's been with every quarterback they've had. It's just they don't have enough there. And, that's why I don't sit there and go, man, I don't want Kevin Stefanski to draft a quarterback. I don't sit there going, man, they got to get somebody else in here and build a whole new offense. Like, the offense works. It evolves. It can do whatever it needs to do. They just need the guys to run it. And it doesn't need to be like, well, he's got to get the perfect situation. He has to have a functional situation, because right now they do not.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, that's good to hear. And it's good to have you say it, because like the coaching staff is getting dragged through the mud, and I mean, deservedly so. The record is the record, and they've been here for a long time. I get all that. But, Stefanski's alluded to it in his pressers. And I mean, you just, basically confirmed it. The plays are there to be made. They're just not being made. So I don't know, maybe grain of salt, be a little patient, maybe give these guys another chance running it back. But either way, we got 5 more games to break down and get through all this stuff. Excellent show, Pete. It is always a pleasure, my good sir. I can't wait to run this back next Tuesday and talk about hopefully a 5-sack performance from Miles and a strong victory over the Titans.
Yeah. Should be. Look, man, if they don't beat the Titans, I don't know what to tell you. But, like, I feel good about this. I feel good about hopefully Shedeur Sanders having a successful game against an opponent that lines up well for him. And then it's going to get interesting because the Bears are going to be tough. But, yeah, right now I feel good about where they're at. Do me a favor, like and subscribe, all that stuff. And just a hint, because the college season has ended for some teams, I'm going to be able to start doing some stuff with players who are done relative to the draft. Like, there's a couple receivers I'm going to profile who are on teams that are not going anywhere, that are interesting, that I think are going to be guys that people don't think about, probably don't know who they are, who I think are going to become conversations, either because they're going to declare for the draft and something be very interesting, or they may be portal guys who go elsewhere and get big paydays.
All right. Well, we look forward to that. Always down for draft talk, Pete. We'll be doing that more and more as the season closes up here. Thank you guys for sticking around. Thanks everybody in the chat. It is always a pleasure. And you guys have a great Tuesday, and we'll catch you guys next week. Go Browns.